As we saw earlier, the engine casing has completely broken away where the starter motor gear and starter motor fits. I also noticed that the starter motor itself is sat at a slightly odd angle. So I've removed the starter motor completely from the engine for a closer inspection, and I can see that one of the rear mounts has broken. It was only being supported by one bolt, as well as the fact that the front seal area has completely cracked away. I bought a replacement starter motor which seems to be in fairly good condition, if a bit scruffy, and I've also got the new starter ring as well as the intermediate gears for fitting to the engine. I picked up a replacement alternator cover with its starter motor gear cover, and I'm now in the process of fitting that cover onto the bike. Right, now to loosen off these bolts for the alternator. We'll get the alternator out of the cover. Loosened one of them already, to be fair. And finally, there's the cable retainer. Oh, wow, that's starting to give. Wow, now that is a bugger. That is a bugger. I can't come on, you bugger. Wow. God, it did go eventually. Bloody hell. That was just starting to give then. That was just starting to give up. There you go. Right, that's the alternator coils out. It's all full of oil. So it is oil filled. Oh, we've got some rust and crack just there. Looks like a piece of broken aluminium. Right, probably from where she was slid down the road. I've had a few rainy days when I haven't been able to do any work to the bike at all. I do need to get on with it because the damp air is causing this rotor to start rusting. So another priority is getting the rust cleaned off this. Yeah, not going to do it any favours at all. Those gears are starting to rust as well. Now, I think I'm about to do something really breathtakingly stupid. Or maybe not. Let's hope. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the casing on with all the gears in place, with the hope of being able to drive the crankshaft from the new or the replacement starter motor. Without this part of the casing in place, there's nothing holding that starter motor steady apart from the two bolts at the back. So I'm relying on it not tending to push out as it tries to turn the crank over. Now, it feels fairly solid as it is at the moment. I don't know, it's dangerous because it could damage the gear teeth on the sprocket as well as on the drive itself. Now, I do have the other starter motor with the cracked ends, so potentially I could swap out the innards, between them if this does get damaged. But of course the other possibility is it could break the mounts at the back. Highly unlikely, I think. Highly unlikely. Right, I'm going to shave off these few bits of gasket that are left. One thing I haven't mentioned, I bought some gasket card and I've cut out a replacement gasket. This is only temporary while we try and put this casing into place and see if we can get the engine to start. If I can get the engine to start, if I've got a known good engine, we are a long way to getting this job done. Pull this out of here because it's magnets pulling it in. It's probably not the best way to pull it out, actually. Oh. I need all the bolts. So force the rubber into place. That's good. Bolt holes lined up. A couple of bolts in just to hold it steady. Now I want to make sure that the cable retainer does leave enough clearance round about there for the rotor to get past. I don't want it to catch on the rotor. The trouble is, as you tighten it up, it tends to pull it in at that side. Oh, that looks good. Right, a touch of grease on there. Hopefully this will now stick to it. Well, that's good. Yeah, that's working. Okay, that seems to be on. Ah, ha 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 ha. Ah. Right, it appears can't get this to engage with this starter motor and with the gear at the same time. I think I'm going to have to loosen these two bolts off at the back. I think that's what I'm going to have to do, is loosen those two bolts off at the back. So I don't think this is going to engage properly otherwise. Oh, having said that, it's in. It is in. Okay, that appears to be engaged. The next difficult task now, of course, is going to be able to get this cover on the outside. Start holding it steady with screws in there, then we'll put this cover on last, I think. Now I've just realised the 3 bolts that hold this have nothing to go into, so there won't be any bolts holding that cap on at all. Just get a little dip of oil, put on there, put in there. The only thing I don't like about this is once it's on, it's an absolute bugger to come off. Yes, this is an absolute bugger to come off. Just a rubber mallet, let's see if we can. Ow. Right. That's it, it's in. Can't bolt it in, as I say. So check that that spindle's in place. A little rubber O-ring on it, just to make it oil tight. And again, a little rubber O-ring to make it oil tight now. It's that thought that also occurred to me before. It's, again, another reason why I can't run this for long is because there's going to be oil splashing out of here as the oil pump tries to circulate oil up into these gears. It's what it does. Okay, I think that's ready. Starter motor is engaged. Let's try it. Now, she does have a choke. Why a fuel injection pipe needs a choke, I don't know, but it has one. Let's try again. It's not engaging. That's a shame. Very difficult to see down there. Yeah, too difficult to see down there. But there's a cutaway on the gear on this side that's supposed to power it in with the idle gear to the crankshaft. But it's that cutaway is just spinning over the top of the other gear. I'll take it apart and see if perhaps I've put gears in the wrong way or something, I don't know. Well, I did say this could go wrong, and I was right, it went wrong. I'll take that cap off. You can see the metal fragments inside that lid, and also right at the bottom of the gear there. We have failed. I may have made the problem worse. Well, all of it seems to be around there. It looks like Well, well, well. Lots of metal fragments. The splines on the drives don't seem to be hurt, and the splines on the idler don't seem to be hurt, so I'm not exactly sure. I need closer inspection. But looking at this, all the fragments seem to be on there. Do you know what? I think that is pulling away from the starter motor. Yeah, that's what I think it is. There's nothing to hold that, and it's tilting and it's pulling away from the starter motor. I think that's what it is. I underestimated the power of both the starter motor and of course of the bike. Sometimes things work out better than you hope. Sometimes fate drops things into your lap. I've been fortunate that I've managed to pick up a reasonably cheap engine block from a breaker's yard that I believe will act as a good replacement for the damaged engine in the chassis. Turned up like this the other day. I managed to put it onto a nice rolling board to help me manoeuvre it around. You'll see they haven't wrapped it entirely. You can also see it is looking a bit cruddy, a bit dirty, but washing it down is not going to be a problem. Manoeuvring it's a little bit of a problem because it's actually quite heavy, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to put this in by myself. The first job is, apart from unwrapping it from these plastic wraps and getting it onto the ground, is to then get it cleaned off. And we'll get rid of all this dirt and crud that's built up over the front, obviously spray from the front wheel. I might take off some of these little accessories here, take the pipes out of the way. I need to check and see, that looks like it's rusted and seized to me. I might need to replace that. But I need to see if there's any other damage apart from the things that I am aware of. Like the alternator cover is missing, there is no starter motor. But I need to make sure that there's no cracks or damage anywhere. Pointless fitting an engine if it's damaged, if it's in worse condition than the one I'm replacing. Let's take the plastic wrap off first. A lot of dirt around here. Something missing from here, which I think may be associated to the water pump, but I'm not sure. But all this needs to be cleaned down. No, that's the water pump. Ah, that's the sprocket cover. Ah, that's the final drive sprocket. So it's even got its sprocket still in place. And the sprocket looks to be in good order. Got cables from sensors. Okay, Honda seems to have been rather clever, and they seem to have put these ears on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. They all look like they're on the same plane. I think that is actually designed for the engine to stand on, because that plug is slightly below the height of those ears. Like I say, there's that looks seized. I might have to cut that off. Looks like this has been dented here, as if somebody's tried to grip that to take it off. Lots of corrosion around these bolts here, but that can be cleaned up. This looks caked in oily dirt, so that should still be able to come off. That stud is coming with its nut, so we'll have to separate nut and stud. Same here. Same here, same here. So it looks like these cap nuts are actually seized onto the studs. cable hook there that doesn't seem to have anything. So these things are going to be what I have to look out for on the engine that's in the frame. Got another cable hook there. I've got another cable tie there, so obviously that's supposed to hook onto some sort of cable. I can see no obvious signs of any damage. Pull it back a bit. Oh damn! That went down with a heavy thud. Oh dear. Okay, she's up, but it's caught the edge of the casing. That did go down with a heavy thunk. That's not very stable either. But she's down. It did bang down hard on this corner and it's left a couple of little scrape marks on there. But overall, I don't think it's looking too bad. Lots of scrape marks in this casing as well. I might swap that casing out for the one already on the new engine. It doesn't look too untight. Oh, we've got some paint removal here and here, which makes it look a bit scruffy. Okay, I've had to invert the engine so I can get gunk into the bottom side of it. Obviously around the sprocket there's an awful lot of dirt, accumulated mud and crap, grease and oil. But I seem to have taken the worst of it off. I think what I'll do is leave it there to soak for a little while. I want to try and get this as clean as possible. Now when I'm washing it down with water I've got to be careful because we're exposed to the oil there. And we've also got the inlet, the exhaust. I'll leave it inverted for the moment just to let the gunks seep into all the baked on and all the road crud on the bottom of the engine.